영어로는 wannabe가 모욕이에요. Being called a wannabe in English is usually not a good thing. It is an insult, or at the very least, a title you would like to get rid of. In Korean, wannabe is used for someone that you admire. In English, it's used for someone that you look down on. Let's take a look at some of the ways you will see wannabe used by native English speakers, and then look at some options for English words that hold a similar meaning to the Korean wannabe. In Korean, you can use wannabe to describe someone who has achieved a final goal that you also want to achieve. You wanna be that person. In English, it's almost the exact opposite. A wannabe is a person that has a final goal that they have not achieved yet, often with the added negative nuance of not having skill and pretending to be better than they actually are. They wanna be cool or wanna be successful, but they are not. Synonyms for wannabe in English would include things like faker or imposter. There are some instances that I will talk about later that sound less harsh and are closer in meaning to things like dreamer or aspirant. But nonetheless, there is a clear difference in usage between English and Korean. You act like some big shot attorney, but you're just a wannabe. He dresses like he's going to shoot a rap video, but he's just a wannabe. Here, the meaning in both of these sentences is clearly negative. These people are pretending to be successful, or they're even delusional about how much skill they truly have when they're not as good as they think they are. Because in English, wannabe is usually something of a diss, it focuses on the person's lack of skill. So if the person actually does have skill, but for whatever reason they haven't received the success or recognition that their skill set deserves, then it's usually not appropriate to use the word wannabe, except in a few cases, which I will talk about now. I mentioned how sometimes wannabe isn't always a complete insult. It'd never be used as a compliment, but it does sometimes have a more neutral meaning. Our summer camp is looking for wannabe engineers who want to further their science and math skills. Wannabe here is not an insult to the engineering students. They aren't officially engineers yet, but they want to be, and they're willing to sacrifice their summer vacation to study. Personally, I would much prefer the word aspiring here instead of wannabe. It sounds much grander and the meaning is much more clear, but I have seen it used this way from time to time, so I don't think I can call it awkward or incorrect. Another common place to see wannabe used is as something of a self-diss. And while I guess technically that does make it negative in meaning, it's more of a way to be humble or express interest in something while not appearing that you are overly confident in your skills. I'm a bit of a wannabe baker, so I make my own birthday cake every year. Here it seems like the person genuinely enjoys baking and puts a lot of effort into the hobby, but they also don't think that their skills are on par with a professional baker. So as you can see in these examples, wannabe isn't always a diss, but it's also not the final stage in their life that you would want to end up at. Eventually, if given the opportunity, you would want to get rid of that wannabe status and actually achieve the final goal you had for yourself. And that brings us to the real question of this video. What words or phrases would native English speakers use that have the same or a similar meaning to the Korean wannabe? Role model is a good option, but it tends to emphasize trying to copy the person's personality or life or process as a whole, and not just a single skill or goal. I may be mistaken, but Korean wannabe seems to be that you just want the person's end result, not that you want to take the same similarly difficult path to get there. Is that right? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Michael Jordan is my basketball role model. I try to emulate his daily routine so I can be just like him. In this sentence, of course, the end goal is to play basketball as well as Michael Jordan. But with role model, there is an emphasis on trying to copy his training philosophy, and not just that you're trying to match his achievements. Idol also works, but the meaning gets a little muddy. Do you just like them as a fan, or do you look up to them and really want to be like them? I don't know. If it's both, definitely use this. My sister's idol is Whitney Houston. She studied Whitney's singing technique so intensely, she sometimes sounds just like her. Lastly, I think this one matches wannabe most closely, and that's goals. This one does not follow normal grammar patterns because it is slang, which I guess works because wannabe is Korean slang too. Carrie and Grant are relationship goals. Jillian is life goals. Hashtag fashion goals. That last one is often put underneath a photo of someone who's wearing a really nice outfit. No matter if the subject is singular or plural, goals is always plural, which makes it grammatically incorrect. Do not use this in any essays. But I guess you also wouldn't use wannabe in Korean essays either. Goals is also very much millennial slang. If you are talking to someone in their late 20s to early 40s, it is very appropriate to use this casually. If you talk to someone younger or older than that, they will most likely understand you, but they may not use it themselves. So that is everything you might ever want to know about the word wannabe. Or maybe not. If you have any other questions, please comment below. Also, have you come across any words that are used differently between English and Korean? Maybe there's an English word that seems to be used differently than what it says in English dictionaries. I would love to hear about them, and maybe I can discuss them in a future video. Good luck with all of your language studies, and I wish you all the best.